Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajakacharya Astar Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Answers by Citing the Lord's Versions, Text 21. Varam, Varaya, Badram, Te, Vadesham, Mabhibanchitam, Brahman, Shreya, Parishramaha, Pumsam, Mad, Darshanavidi, Varam Varaya Badram Te, Vadesham Mabhivanchitam, Brahmanchaya Parishramaha, Pumsama Darshanadvadi, Pumsama Param Varaya Badram Te, Padesham Abhivanchitam, Brahmanchaya Parishramaha, Pumsama Darshanavadi, Param Varaya Badram Te, Padesham Abhivanchitam, Brahmanchaya Parishramaha, Pumsama Darshanavadi, Paramvaraya Badram Te, Mahavivansitam, Parishrama, Samam Vasanavidi, Paramvaraya Badram Te, Mahavivansitam, Amshayam Parishrama, Samad Vasanadidi, Vishrama, Samad Vasanadidi, Paramvaraya Badram Te, Eshama Vivanshitam, Om Teva Vishrama, Pumsam Arsanavadi. Vaishnavis, Paramvaraya Badram Te, Eshama Vivanshitam, Samang Dakshanadiri, Varam, benediction. Varaya, just ask from. Bhadram, auspicious. Te, unto you. Vada Isham, the giver of all benediction. Mam, mum, from me. Abhivanchatam, wishing. Brahman, O Brahma. Shreya, the ultimate success. Parishramaha, for all penances. Pumsam, for everyone. Mat, my. Darshana, realization. Avadhi, up to the limit of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. I wish you good luck, O Brahma, that you may ask from me, the giver of all benedictions, all that you may desire. You may know that the ultimate benediction, as the result of all penances, is to see me by realization. Purport. The ultimate realization of the Supreme Truth is knowing and seeing face to face the personality of Godhead. Realization of the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma features of the personality of Godhead is not ultimate realization. When one realizes the Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform penances to achieve some higher situation. The next stage of life is to discharge devotional service to the Lord just to satisfy Him. In other words, one who has realized and seen the Supreme Lord has attained all perfection because everything is included in that highest perfectional stage. The impersonalists and the pseudo-mystics, however, cannot reach this state. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the ultimate realization of the Supreme Truth is knowing and seeing face to face the personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada says that many times in his teachings. He says again and again, if you practice Krishna consciousness, you will see Krishna face to face, just like we're seeing each other now, face to face. We can speak to each other, we can perform different activities with each other. So Srila Prabhupada would very often say, from his first Bhagavad Gita lectures in New York City in 1966 till all throughout his presence with us. So that was his usual message, that the highest realization in full Krishna consciousness is to see face to face the Supreme Lord, to come to that position. Or occasionally he would make a different point. Like once in Vrindavan at the Krishna Balaram temple, Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk with his disciples. And one of them, a devotee named Vishal, told Srila Prabhupada, says, you once told me, Srila Prabhupada, that if I read the first 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I will come to full Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada asked him, what do you mean, full Krishna consciousness? And he thought about it a little bit, and he said, seeing Krishna face to face. And Prabhupada said, what do you mean? You think that's full Krishna consciousness? So many people are coming to the temple. They're seeing the deity face to face. Are they fully Krishna conscious? Everyone who... he said, no, Srila Prabhupada. And said, then, what do you mean? What does fully Krishna conscious mean? And there was an Indian gentleman there as well. And he said, Brahmabhuta prasanatma na sochati na kankshati. And Prabhupada said, oh, that's part of it. But the real thing is when one sees oneself as servant and Krishna as master. So seeing oneself fully as servant, Srila Prabhupada said, that is full Krishna consciousness. And if you're thinking to any extent that you want to be in the position of Krishna as the supreme enjoyer, then to that extent you're not fully Krishna conscious. So it's the same point he makes in this purport, that the essence of this very high level of Krishna consciousness is to be engaged in devotional service. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabhabritya. There are many conscious individual living entities, personalities in the whole of the cosmos, but one of them is supreme, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And everyone else, even the expansions of the Supreme Lord, like Balaram, Srimati Radharani, all of them, it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, they see themselves as servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. He is the Supreme Controller. We may be little controllers, but beyond us, Krishna is the Supreme Controller. So, Jivaras Rupahoy Krishnara Nityadas, Lord Chaitanya said, we are the servants of Krishna. So, Lord Brahma is the demigod in charge of this whole universe, of manifesting the different planetary systems and the bodies for the conditioned souls in this universe. So it's a very big responsibility. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam we see that he prays to Krishna to be able to carry out this big responsibility, but remain humble, remain in the mood of a servant. So this mentality of the service mentality is extremely important. And Srila Prabhupada's pointing out that other transcendentalists like the yogis and the impersonalists, they cannot achieve this highest realization because they are lacking this service mentality. Vedanti tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdite. So these three realizations of the absolute truth are there, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are some who understand the impersonal feature of Krishna. Krishna does have an impersonal feature. It's his Brahman effulgence. But that is not complete realization. Beyond that, there is Paramatma realization of the Supersoul, the Lord within the heart. Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam, stated in the Brahma Samhita. The Lord is present within the universe, within each atom even, and he's in the hearts of all living things. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesh Arjuna Tishtite. I am seated within the hearts of all. Sarvasi Chaham Hridisvani Vishto Matasmatir Gyanam Apohanam Cha. I am the super soul situated in the hearts of all living things. And from me comes memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So, but the yogis who realize the supersoul within the heart, generally they're not in the mood of service. They're in the mood of trying to acquire some mystic power, some siddhi, some kind of perfection like that. And as far as the impersonalists go, they think themselves liberated, but it's a false kind of liberation, because eventually arura krishna parampada tataha, even though they may rise to that position, because they have no engagement in the eternal devotional service to the Lord, they eventually come down again. So to attain Bhagavan realization of the personality of Godhead requires love. Premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridiyesha vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govinda madhipurusham tamaham bhajami. So premanjana charita bhakti vilochanena. One must treat the eyes with the salve, the ointment of pure devotion. And then one can see the personality of Godhead, like Shamasundara in his original form as Shamasundara within the heart. So, Srila Prabhupada says that many times. He comments on that verse from the Brahma Samhita. He says, you're seeing so many things, but to see the personality of Godhead requires that you purify your senses, your sense of vision, for example. And he would say, just like when you want to see some important person, it's possible, but you have to make an arrangement. And he said, Krishna is the most important person. To see him, you have to make some arrangement. And the arrangement is this Krishna consciousness as being practiced in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And it requires that you put this ointment on your eye, loving devotion to Lord Krishna. But you can't get this ointment at the CVS. You have to get it, you can't get it by a prescription from your doctor. Medicare doesn't cover it. You get it from Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, spreading love of God to everyone without qualification all over the world. So you can get it from that source, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's got it on sale. He's giving it, although it's very expensive, like some ointments and drugs, they're very expensive, thousands of dollars for one dose. So this Premanjana Charita, Premanjana, this ointment of love for Krishna, normally it's very, very expensive, very hard to get, but Lord Chaitanya, through his Sankirtan movement, is making it very easily available to people. So, another point that Srila Prabhupada makes in his purport is one doesn't struggle to perform penances to achieve some higher realization. When you're in Krishna consciousness, there isn't any need for that kind of tapasya, undergoing very difficult austerities like sitting in the middle of fire, circles of fire in the summertime, or taking bath in ice cold waters in the wintertime. There's so many austerities that can be performed for realization. But Srila Prabhupada said, this process of Krishna consciousness, it's simply recreation. It's chanting, dancing, feasting. It's really quite easy. And if we accept it and take it, if we resist it, then that's another thing. Tapodivyam putrika yena. So it said we perform penance, but divine penance, which is something different than the penances performed by others. You know, penance can be performed according to the Bhagavad Gita in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of passion, or in the mode of goodness. And from goodness you can go to Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness. So the activities of devotional service are activities in pure goodness, Shuddha Sattva. They bring one to the state of Vasudeva, which means, Archie, did I get it right? Is it? Yeah. Means you're in, just like Krishna's father, Vasudeva. He was in the, Vasudeva means he's in the position to receive the Supreme Lord, Krishna, within his heart. So we want to come to that Shuddha Sattva Vasudeva state where our hearts are prepared to receive the personality of Godhead. But, you know, penance in the mode of ignorance, it's stated in Bhagavad Gita, means you're just hurting the body, hurting other things. And then, so we're not into that. I mean, sometimes, you know, when I first joined the temple in Washington, D.C., I had this idea of penance, strict penance. So I decided one day I'm not going to take anything to eat, no prasadam. So I just started fasting because I wanted to, because I had some experience before I joined the Hare Krishna movement that by fasting you get power, you get willpower. Nobody can deviate you, and so I was thinking, all right, these guys are telling me to do this, do that. I'm gonna show my independence. I'm gonna show my strength of will, and so I was fasting. As the devotees were saying, Prabhu, it's time for prasadam. I said, no, I'm fasting. It's not a fast day, Prabhu. Well, don't worry about it, I'm fasting. So I think I went for 2 days, something like that. And devotees, of course, they're a little concerned. But, I think after the second day, I just broke down. Went to the morning prasadam. They had halava, like maple walnut halava, steaming, I think I wolfed down maybe 4 plates. And I decided, well, I'm going to give up that austerity. That's So like Srila Prabhupada says, when one realizes the Supreme Lord, one does not struggle hard to perform penances. I mean, it is a kind of austerity, in a sense, but it's not something, there's so many encouragements in devotional service, that kind of soften the heart and kind of removes that mood of, trying to acquire some power for your own purposes. And then in the mode of passion, one performs devotional service or penance, In the mode of passion, one performs penance to get some higher level of material sense gratification. So, of course, Krishna says, it's said, not Krishna, but it's said in the, akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. So it says, yes, you may have all kinds of material desires. You may have no material desires. You may, whatever it is, you perform devotional service to Krishna, you'll come to the proper understanding. So I'll stop there. Any questions or comments? Srila Prabhupada ki jai.